So Arun, you have to tell us when we should take off.
Gee, we are already broadcasting, and there are about 86, 85 people connected. So I think we can start. We have about 4 individuals sitting here as well in Lahore.
So give us 2 minutes and we will take off.
Okay, 2 minutes it is. But can I? All right, fine. I'll just wait for 2 minutes. I'll try to network with members over here. Is it still raining outside or is it not? It's not. So what is your opinion about this topic of discussion? Do you know this is not the first time we're talking about this? How many of you participated in this in the last session? The first time? Is this topic of interest?
Yes.
Have you come with your weapons and all? This is a very useful session and a typical case of expectations versus reality. Thank you very much. No, but I think this will be a good session. We'll be able to hear from you people. We'll be able to tell our story. ACCA engages with a number of stakeholders, a number of members. So this gives us an excellent opportunity to talk about what matters the most. And also an important thing is, let me introduce you as well to the forum. We have, as you might know, that we have MLP elections going on right now. And wow, right? Everywhere that you go, videos being uploaded, members' creativity at its best, So the WhatsApp messages, videos being uploaded. Oh, how can I change my election statement? Yeah, there you go. Oh, I didn't get my ballot paper. How can I get it now? Unfortunately, not. So things like this happening. But the good thing is, the MLP candidates, there are 20 of them. Unfortunately, 3 candidates did not meet their requirements, 4 candidates, and they had to be removed from the competition. So we have invited all the MLP members to either be personally present at the Karachi and Lahore office, or otherwise be available on the webinar to listen to concerns, try to understand ACCA's point of view also, and then we want to spread the message across. Now, it's very important that I declare this very openly over here, that MLP members are only voluntary members. Right? ACCA does not pay anything to the council. The council is the overall governing body, right? Sitting at the top, or to any network of members of anywhere in the world. Not even a single penny paid. It's only reimbursement of any cost that they may incur while doing ACCA business. So if ACCA wants FISA to go to Multan and attend a session there and speak on behalf of ACCA over there, ACCA will take responsibility of her travel, of her stay, of her eating, etc., her well-being, and bringing her back, and ACCA will take care of that. No TADA, no money paid, no reward, right? It's just that. Similarly, there are a number of other activities. For example, the council member, Ayla, as you might know, that she's been involved in. So during the last month, there were about 6 events, 6 very high-profile events happening in Pakistan. So there were 3 Pakistan leadership conversations. Emerging Pakistan was the theme, and there were 3 new member ceremonies. So 1 each in Lahore, Karachi, and Islamabad, or 2 each in Lahore, Karachi, and Islamabad, making a total of 6. And Ayla was taken to all 6 events because we wanted our council member from Pakistan to be present there, to be able to speak with people, to be able to engage, and be the ACCA's the front point man, for our entire stakeholder base. So she was not paid anything. She had to, of course, forego her personal official professional responsibilities at her workplace. She had to excuse herself and she had to travel with us to all these places. So that's how it is. So what is the role of the council and the MNP? I thought I should make it amply clear here. First of all, MNP. MNPs or all member networks around the world. You may call them member advisory committees and you may call them member network panels. They are all only advisory in nature. Right? So they would come forward and advise the executives in ACCA offices of certain issues being faced by members on certain technical matters, right, etc. That's their role. And therefore, ACCA also gives them visibility for different work. Right? So, for example, Omar Zahir Mir is another individual. Asad Ali Sharif is another MNP member currently, of the MNP which is in place at the moment. They've all been, Amin Ali has been an ACCA MNP member, right? So they've all been assigned various tasks, assigned various initiatives to undertake on the basis of their expertise, which are purely governed by ACCA itself. So, in a way, the members network panel members advisory committee is a bridge between the executives and the members. However, it is very, very important for every member to understand that the MNP cannot offer you any operational support. You cannot go to a council member or an MNP member saying, I want my subscription fee to be reduced. Can you help me? No. For that, we are here. Customer services is here. ACCA Connect is here. Right? If there is an issue which affects more than 10% of the members in a country, as an example, 10% or more members in the country, there's such an issue that can be brought to their attention. They can, come back and advise. We suggest this is something that ACCA Pakistan should do, and ACCA will consider that and take appropriate actions. Similarly, if ACCA wants a message conveyed to the members, right, the MNP members or the MAC members would be that forum through which messages can be conveyed back to the members again. This is not at all a political forum. Not at all. I mean, the minute we get a feeling that this space is getting political, we'll take immediate actions to make it apolitical. Right? In a very strong accounting body in Pakistan, in terms of number of members, if you consider, we have the highest number of members at the moment in Pakistan, which is more than 10,000, maybe more than 10,000, right? Half of which are working, have completed their qualifications here in their homeland, but are working abroad. But another half is present here right now. Okay, that makes it about 10,000 individuals, and no other accounting body in Pakistan can match this size. Okay. In addition to that, our membership is growing very rapidly, which means more and more members are coming in, which also means that the previous members are becoming senior in their roles, taking more responsibility, right? Taking more onus of, mentoring the ACCA members, right? The younger members which come along. Okay, I think that's enough pep talk. Sajid, would I want to hand over to you, or should I do the honors of doing an opening?
Go ahead, open that one.
I'll only say one thing. Thank you very much for all of you for being here. Sajid is running a very, very tight schedule. He was running another program 2:30 till 5 o'clock in Karachi. And this program being very, very close to his heart. I mean, look at the excitement on Sajid's face. And we've been planning this event for some time. However, the final decision of doing this right away was made on Friday, the last working day. And we said, we're straight away going ahead into this. Right? Very, very important conversation. Please feel at ease, feel positive, but please be interactive at the same time, right? So with that, I'll hand over to Sajid, the head of ACCA Pakistan, to share his thoughts with us, to share what this thing around earning potential is, and then we'll open it up for more conversation. Sajid, over to you.
Thank you, Harun. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. I think, like Harun mentioned, this is something which is very close to my heart. Not because of ACCA, it's very close to my heart because I have gone through the same journey. And there are certain learnings for me while I was going through that. I got some mentor who just gave me some questions which helped me to drive my career, and uh, that's so far it's quite rewarding. And I enjoyed that professional accounting itself. I enjoyed the different roles. I enjoyed all the traveling. Uh, there are a few areas which people dream of, and it just because doing something right for me, which may be or may not be right for you, help me to drive those or reach to that aspired lifestyle which I wanted to get there. So the first thing is that you are the one who decides. Earning potential, going back to the fundamental, पाकिस्तान में सब लोग knowledge के लिए नहीं पढ़ रहे होते. There are a lot of people who take different professional career, different options because they need a certain financial security, and that is a primary objective. Knowledge comes later. So कोई डॉक्टर बन रहा है, कोई इंजीनियर बन रहा है, कोई प्रोफेशनल अकाउंटेंट बन रहा है. So उस डिसीजन मेकिंग में कोई ना कोई इन्फ्लुएंसर होता है, कोई रोल मॉडल होता है, किसी ने आपको थोड़ी सी गाइडेंस दी होती है और उसकी बेस पे आपने डिसीजन किया होता है. उस डिसीजन से फिर आगे बाकी सारे डिसीजंस और आपका कैरियर ड्राइव हो रहा होता है. Important thing, again, go back to the fundamental. What you decide and what you can imagine, that's where you can get. आपकी लिमिटेशन जो सबसे बड़ी आएगी ना, वो आपकी इमेजिनेशन आएगी. बाकी सारे कंस्ट्रेंट और जो रोड ब्लॉकर है ना, यू कैन ओवरकम दैट एज लॉन्ग एज यू आर ड्रिवन टुवर्ड्स दैट. बाकी जो आपके पास सपोर्ट स्ट्रक्चर है, believe me, I have worked in many countries, and the type of support structure ACCA drive and define and deploy, that's not a normal thing for any professional accounting body. Are we taking advantage of it? If you ask me, not many people are taking advantage of it, and that's why that's one of a conversation which Harun normally drives. But just taking you to that, what's your true earning potential? Let's first try to set the expectation. So what you are expecting, like I have got my own flow. I definitely have some content and some feedbacks to share with you on behalf of employers or on behalf of senior members, what they have provided us with the feedback, how they became successful. I can share my story. I'm sure there are a lot of story in the room and an online audience as well. But just to quickly wrap up on your expectation, the people who are online, they can just type that in their chat box, and Harun can let us know that how it's working, and or if you can come over here and you can let us know what's going on the chat box. So from Karachi room, what you expect today out of this session? Yeah, please.
We are expecting that we can get all insights that what is the current market expectations regarding from the ACCS, okay, and the expectation gap. What we as a members are thinking regarding the current remuneration, the salary packages, and what is the normal thinking of the employers.
Great. I think definitely we are going to cover that. That's a key topic which we are going to touch upon. Sir. Very quickly, because we have to go through that 80-85 people. So
How can we bridge that gap?
How we can bridge that gap? So you came up with something.
What impact are expecting from it?
Okay, so expectation gap, how we can fill that gap. For by the way, Khurram Shahzad is there. He's MNP member, and he also the one who drives or who represent the voice of members, and he's quite vocal, by the way. Khurram, what you are
I've been like listening these sort of issues from various members. So I'm very glad that you have arranged this session today and love listening to other members.
What I think about expectation gap is that the employers expect from ACCA that they are just the finance or accounts professional. And what I always convince them to think so is that ACCA is the multi-dimensional qualification in which these six specialized subjects like cost accounting, financial management, corporate and business law, taxation services, as well as the paper P3, which is compile of business analysis. business, so we can compete with NDAs as well.
Okay, so you have to get the competition right, but we will expand on that because there are people who are working beyond those areas as well, and they are very, very successful. So exactly, I think I love that word. The key word is how to sell yourself. That's the key thing, and that's, I think, where we have to improve. So definitely we need a piece of information. Where is the gap? What is their expectation? Where we stand? But how to sell, that's the critical item which we are, or how to build a brand. So we will touch upon that. Any expectation from Lahore? Harun, you want to share anything? And somehow you have got a sound screen up there. Anything on the chat box? Anything which we missed?
ACCA speak up. I wanted to ask if person don't know much about tax, Pakistani tax law, what will be his or her value in the market?
Okay, so there are two questions. What is the worth without local taxation? And let's don't talk about the Pakistan one because it's a global qualification. You will be moving around in multiple countries, and I can share my example how I use that one. So that's, I think that's a one part. And what would be your value without that one, and how you can acquire that? So these are the two areas how you can acquire local taxation knowledge, which can give you some competitive edge if you're there. Okay.
Any more questions?
Okay, so sorry, do we have any other expectation? Otherwise, I think significantly we captured the generic one. If there's any specific thing which is beyond the one which we have captured, so we would like to have that. Chat box if there's anything coming up. Nothing. Okay. Okay. Self-awareness. I think that's our starting point. And Harun, if you can share the poll, if you can share those questions which you built. And for the people who are present here, we have got some paper there. And if you can just rate yourself where you stand, you don't have to provide any personal information. It's just we will be like consolidating that information just to understand our current presence and the different people who are here. Harun, if you can run the poll online, that would be helpful.
Yes.
Just
Okay.
quickly.
The poll should be on the screen now.
Yeah, I can see that quickly.
Okay, great.
And it says I can't vote.
Yes. If you can share the paper.
Yeah, I shared the paper here, so people have got that paper. So now you have to really keep moving on. And this is only for members right now when we are talking about. So we really have to segregate members and salary, student and stipend, because that's a very big confusion for employer. And I'll come back why we have to address that one, because that sometimes really really create a compromise for some senior members as well. So in the room, in Karachi, we have all got members here, right? Or there is any student? It's all members.
I think about 50% people have voted on the first question. If everybody has voted, can we move on to the next question, Sajeev?
Yeah, I think we can.
Let's move on to the next one. So, do we want to see the results as we go along?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, so 58% fall here. Great. So can we get into? Great. So we have got 1% above 750,000 as well.
Yeah. So if you see, the bulge is between 75,000 and 250,000. There's 6%, only 6% who are below 75,000. 32% between 250,000 and 500,000. which sort of forms a very normalish curve. I mean, it's slightly skewed to the lower salary ranges, but still, I think the bulge is right in the middle. Can we move on to the next question?
Yep, please.
The next poll. All right, the next poll is about your expected stipend. This is for affiliates particularly. I'm not sure whether the first question was misunderstood. That was the expected salary that members are expecting at the moment.
Yeah. So we are not capturing anything like what is your current earning. We are capturing the what you expect, right? So we can exactly like where is the gap?
If you click below 10,000, that means you'll be happy taking a stipend of less than 10,000, and I'll be surprised.
No, happiness is like there's the latest research. Happiness is not directly proportional to the earning. That's already established. Pakistan is the one of our happiest country. We may not have that per capita income, which maybe US has.
Whether in the first year or the third year. But as an escalation, this is about escalations. Okay. How many have? All right, about 38% have voted so far. We need more affiliates to vote, or maybe there are fewer affiliates attending the session today. I think if the number is not changing anymore, I think we can move on. Okay.
I think just open the question for 45 seconds so we can go with that.
We're looking at the results as we go along. How do you compare your current skill set with other accounting and finance professionals? Can we have the full question? We have a full question. Professionals. I have the question. With other accounting and finance professionals, do you think you are at par with others? Do you think you're better than others? Or do you think you are worse? I don't want to give you any hints, but just imagine the exams that you have sat, the exams that you have passed are the same exams that 200,000 members around the world have passed, right? The qualification that you've undertaken is the same qualification that 500,000 other people are undertaking currently around the world. Okay, so that alone, again, no hints, should instill. I'm saying it and still giving hints. Should still give you enough confidence about what you have up here. All right, next one. What was the answer to the last? If you can quickly have a look.
Yes.
So 58%. Wow. All right, that's interesting. But 6% feel that they are worse. Okay, let's see. I don't know why it is so.
We can't see the results.
All right, now it's the current monthly income for members alone. Only members respond to this. Affiliates do not. Current income.
Harun, I think we have to put the 45-second cycle to complete that. Otherwise, we may not be able to get all the questions.
Okay, more people want to vote. We'll give them 40 more seconds, 20 more seconds.
And Harun, can we go back, once we are done, can we go back and can we run that results in sequence?
Okay, so we've almost got the results. 60% are below 75% or 75,000 a month. 31% are between 75 and 250,000. 5% between 250 and 500,000. 2% between 500 and 750, and about 2% were above 750,000. Okay.
Great.
I mean, the reason, the correlation with experience, etc., other factors Right? That is something that we're going to regress. We're going to find out and progress. But there are more questions that will indicate why some of these members with the same qualification are earning 750,000 and above, while others are below 75. Yeah.
So now we need stipend.
Okay. Affiliates. This is for you. What is your current stipend level? And please remember, we are very clearly distinguishing between salary and stipend. Okay? We're very clearly distinguishing between them. 15 more seconds.
And Harun, we can consolidate those results afterward, right?
Affiliates want to respond before we close this? Any more affiliates who want to respond? No, let's move on. Okay, let's go on to the next one.
Harun, can you hear me, Harun?
Years of professional experience, sorry, post-qualification experience do you have? This is mostly for members. Post-qualification is when you become a member. Okay, when you have become a member. Please do not include your 3 years practical experience from before becoming a member in this. Do not include your training experience in this. Okay, so a few more seconds.
None?
Any more members who want to respond to this?
Less than 3 years. So you will have a 1 week, 1 month.
Okay. So as you can very clearly see, that 51% are in less than 3 years practical experience after becoming a member. Right? There are very few.
Can you hear me?
Fewer, I would say, between who have more experience. Okay. So that's one factor. Let's move on. I mean, so far we have not correlated this with the salary that they're earning. But of course, once we have this data, we'll do that analysis. This is a very, very interesting question. So what additional skills do you specialize in?
Can you explain specialize mean I've got training or just a good know-how of the computer?
No. You specialize in, which means you're putting it to use at your workplace. If you just have it, if you've attended a training session that and you're not sort of utilizing it, that will not be considered as specialization. So, Jeet, am I right on this, or do you expect something different? ERP training. Have you got any question? You've done it already. Okay. So about 53%, 55% have voted. Okay. Still people voting.
Harun, can you hear me?
My friends, one very clear reason, very, very clear. Look at the level of expertise in taxation and law. Two essentials for accounting and finance professionals if they have to work in this country. Yeah? There are fewer people who have expertise in taxation and law. All right, next is, all right, that's a good one. I'm sure Sajid will be happy seeing the results here. Do you fairly understand the following terms and their relevance to business? And you can select multiple options. So if you understand what big data and fintech is, if you understand what integrated reporting is, what is sustainable growth, venture capital and startups, emotional intelligence. Can you check your connection. Sudeep is trying to hear to speak. Sudeep, we could not hear you. Now we can. Now we can. But this is let him speak.
So how can we have a consolidated results afterward once the poll is done, because we can't see all the results here right now.
Sudeep, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, 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 we can.
Uh, can we have a consolidated result of all the polls once you are done with the
I
polls?
think we'll have to do that afterwards. We'll have to do that
Yeah. So
consolidation. We'll be able to download all this data.
okay. So then, before we close the session, we want to see that what was the expected salary, where we stand. So what are the key like outcomes which we have got from this group before we close the session?
Sure, we will share that once again.
Yeah. Because we can't see those results right now.
Sure, I'll just share some of them in a bit.
Okay.
Okay, this ninth question is, how many professional insight reports do you read every month?
How many among us read these reports, the PR, Professional Insight Report? Are you familiar
All
with
of
that?
you know what PI is? Sure.
Second.
Great. All of you have the ACCA Insights app on your phones?
I am.
You have it?
So do you have an ACCA app? Just download that and encourage other people. It's
You are doing
not
it?
necessarily ACCA.
You have it?
Anyone can download
I
that.
have
Very
to
good app.
go headlines and
ACCA.
stuff.
But that's all right. I mean, if there is a topic of interest, of course we read it. But that's a good thing. All others, there is Wi-Fi connectivity. If you want them connect to Zone, you can download this app. There are two apps actually that come from ACCA. One is AB Magazine, and the other is Professional. I mean, Insights app. Okay. So all the new releases of the reports, Professional Insight reports, they are available on this PI app, and it gives you notifications as well. Okay, can you share the results? Can we go back to salary and share the results with? Sajid, you have the salary
Yeah, we can see
expectation.
that. So members' expectation stands between 75 to 250, 58%. And if we add another one like the next, so almost 90% stands somewhere between 75 to 500,000. That's great. Can we move on?
Yes.
Do you want to see their actual salaries also, Sajid?
Yeah, we want to run the entire poll. Like we can relate to that.
Start sharing the results, fine, Baba.
So from a stipend perspective, the major fall between almost 70% fall between 10,000 to 50,000. Great. Now
Okay,
keep
next.
moving.
Skill set.
Almost 58% is better, 36% at par, 6% is worse.
So 94% feel they are either better or they are at par.
Great.
Majority are confident of their skill set.
Current monthly salary significantly, almost 92% fall below 250,000, where the 61 is below 70 and 31 below 250. And then we have got almost 4% which is above 500,000 and the 5% which is above 250, which is encouraging. So current stipend level, if we see, and that's that would come to surprise of most of the people, that our major 60% falls between 10,000 to 50,000, and 27% is basically 25 to 50,000 in the market where the regulated stipend is 13 to 14,000 rupees. So that's an important one. There are people who are above 70 as well. We have got less than 3 years, so that's also reflective in the salaries. 51, 3 to 5, 26. So 3 to 7 is the one where we are looking for 36% people, and then we have got 13%, which is above 7 years. So I think from expectation and the current salary, that reflect very clearly where people, like if we are less than 3, so what we should be expecting and what we should be aiming to. That's more important, what we should aiming to. ERP IT, that's very, very encouraging to see people. We have to see the definition of ERP or IT, but people are familiar with that. Local taxation, local laws, I think that's also one of area, 28 other, that's fine. So we keep moving on, Kamil.
Sorry, one clarification. Do you think Microsoft Word, Excel, Office, emailing, is it included in IT? Or
Yeah,
is it
for me, yes.
considered?
That's as per my definition, IT include that. We call it IT literacy, so computer literacy. So that's a fundamental one. That's very, very fundamental, and that's most interesting one. So people understand sustainable growth. That's not a very common topic which professional accountants know. Venture capital and startup, they are familiar with the term, but not fairly. Emotional intelligence, that's something which very few accountants get. So that's good. Big data and fintech, yes, that's one. Integrated reporting, I think that's a one of a flagship for ACCA. Not many people outside ACCA really understand what the integrated reporting and the framework and the mindset mean. So I think ACCA has done a good job in leading that integrated reporting, which is a future. Oh, that's bad. That disappointment. None, 49%. That's not good, guys. I think that's the most valuable resource which we create. That we spend 25 million pounds of your subscription on the research. It's your money which is spent there, and it's available as a free of cost thing. And if somebody start reading one report a month, just one report a month, in a 12 months you will be sitting in a different league. So professional insight is the one which every business is looking for. And those professional insights they can get through ACCA. No other accounting body has got such a strong research base who can provide a view for future. And every business look forward. They want to look at how the future will look like, and they want to put their strategy around those views. And you are the one who is a for them. You are the window who can provide that type of view to them. So just make sure you go through that. But it's at the same time there is a good 51% people who are looking or at least reading one, two, or more than two a month, which is still encouraging. But 49%, please go back and make sure you use that resource. Download the ACCA Insight as an app, and that will create a major differentiation between you and any other competition you have got in the market.
Sajid, is this advice for affiliates as well? I mean, this is
For
public
students,
information
even
and
the
they have access
prospects,
to it.
even your business colleague who may not be ACC, I think that's such a wonderful resource which can help people to think in the right direction. And while it's provided by ACC, even if a non-ACC is using that, that's still enhancing the ACCA brand, and that's still enhancing your respect as a member among those employers or those colleagues who are using that. And this is not the resource which every professional accounting body can provide, and up to that level, 60 reports bare minimum, and it goes sometime 120 a year. Thank you, Harun. And if we can move to the next one, next slides. I think these polls are important just to get the look and feel that where you stand, and it also gives you an indication and the benchmarking that what the market looked like. Most important thing, how many people are familiar with these 7 quotients? This is again a part of the ACCA research. Great. So we have got one here. This is basically define how the future talent and employers, what employers are expecting. So at the heart, it's always a technical and ethical skills, which every ACCA has. Then we have to talk about the emotional intelligence, really understanding people and really coming along with them, like how you're going to manage different situations with which involve people, not only the data and the machine, but people itself. Then the vision, what is your view around the future? How you feel that function of finance can contribute in creating that future. If you have a one vision, like ACC has a vision to develop the accountancy profession the world needs, so how you can contribute towards that. So that vision is important. That's the professional insights bring there. experience. And this experience doesn't mean how many years you are doing something. This experience means user experience, how you can immerse yourself in other person's reality. So how you will understand your user. For example, if you are a CFO, how you will understand what the sales function, supply chain function, or marketing really trying to do, and how you can create a better experience for them. So first you have to talk to them, you should have emotional intelligence, then you have to create that user experience. It's just making it easier for them to do business with you. You could be starting from a very low level, entry level, training level, accounts payable, and going up to the CFO or a board member. How you really create a better user experience. So that's also important. IQ, no question about it. IQ is an important one, where you apply your skills to the newer problem. Creative, and that's something, it's a most debatable area whether the accountants should be creative, but this creativity means using your existing knowledge and applying to the new problems. For example, how you going to handle AI? That was never been your subject, you never qualified, you never sat in any exam of AI, but you understand the market space, you understand, you have trained for that, and you know the basics. So creative is another quotient which is important. And then digital. Without technology, it's just like अगर हिस्ट्री में आप देखें तो शायद लेजर्स होते थे, उसके बाद फिर आपके पास कैलकुलेटर्स आए, फिर आपके पास एक्सेल आया, नाउ इट्स मूविंग ऑन. अब शायद आपको जो सोशल मीडिया पे अनस्ट्रक्चर्ड डाटा भी एग्जिस्ट करता है, उसको भी अकाउंट फॉर करना पड़ता है एक क्रिटिकल बिजनेस डिसीजन के लिए. So digital is an important one. So these are the 7 quotients which completes a professional, whether it's an accounting professional, whether it's a marketeer, whether we are talking about the management one. But this is very well defined and researched by ACCA, and heart of it lies on a technical and ethical. So when we say technology is going to be a new disruption, believe me, ethics or lack of it is going to be the bigger disruption, because आपकी टेक्नोलॉजी हर चीज को एक्सट्रेट कर देगी. अगर अनएथिकल बिहेवियर्स होंगे, जो अभी रिसेंटली आपने फेसबुक में देखा है, तो उनकी जो मार्केट डेप आई है वो $70 बिलियन से ऊपर की. आपका पूरा जो टोटल एक्सटर्नल लोन है, एक्सटर्नल डेट है पाकिस्तान से, उससे बड़ी डेप उन्होंने अपने शेयर्स में लिए जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ दैट एथिकल इशू. Right. If we can move on. So these are the important components while you are talking about different your overall character and how you're going to sell it. So you have to package it right. These are just a quick view around what is ACCA professional insight look like. I just picked up the technology one. So now ACCA is talking about with employer and member. We are talking about the race for relevance. We are talking about social media and finance, integrating and acquisition, the role of modern day finance function, lifting the cloud, CFO guide, analytics in finance, artificial intelligence in finance, robotic process automation, cyber risk management in finance. These are the key topics which are being discussed in a different boardroom. So unless until you are part of that conversation, either as a contributor, either as a leader, then that's mean you may not stand in a race of relevance. So these are the important areas to understand. If we can move on.
So Jean, sorry, we got disconnected for a little bit. If you can go through the previous slide again.
Yeah, you can come back.
Previous slide. Previous slide. What? Previous. Yeah. This one.
Yeah. So the important conversation around the boardroom, because you will be relevant if you are a part of those conversation as a contributor or as a leader. So if we are talking about AI, then we have to talk about the AI in finance. We have to talk about the robotics and automation in finance, analytics, which is a big data, lifting the cloud, integrating and acquisition, the race for relevance, technology and opportunity for finance function. These are the critical areas which we have to talk about while we are selling ourselves, right? And ACCA has a lead, and employer or your client, if you are in practice, they expect, because they know about these things. So while they come and they talk to you, they want to see the reflection of these areas. Your employer, because it's such a big free resource for them, specifically the approved employer, they use that. They are aware of it. If they don't find this type of conversation among the members, while you are in an interview or you are in a professional conversation, you are in a social gathering, if you are not picking up on these, that means you are not representing the brand right, because the person on the back of mind, he knows that if the member is not talking about it, that's when there is some gap. So that's something which we have to reconcile most of the time. Can you move on? And the next just shows the evolution of calculator based accounting, then going to Excel, and now we talk about the real time. Whatever is happening, somebody is looking at real time. It's not about the recording the transaction, it's looking at the data, how the things are evolving. People have got a live wall. So we can talk about the people who are still on a paper pencil based ledger, and we can talk about people who are on these live wall where they can see how the things are moving. And we are not talking about the stock market. We are talking about even the stocks, like the inventory, how the inventory movement, how the sales movement, how the cash flow movement is happening, or if somebody is working in an investment, so how the capital market or debt market or secondary market is moving. So it's a live information which somebody has to look at and make a decision. Historically, somebody sits there, they compile all the financial statement. After a month, you get that one, and then you have another month to debate on it. Then you create a corrective action, and then 3 months are gone. Right now, if there's an inventory missing, somebody has to take action then and there. Otherwise, there will be a loss of sale, right? So now it's a seconds, minutes, and maximum hours. It's not months where the decisions are made. So that's mean the speed, digesting that information and bringing that decision in a very quick way. So that's a skill set which we need right now. Can you move on? Your power plug, you need power source. Yeah.
Is it your power source? Sajid, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. There is a power plug in or find another power source is 7% battery.
Could be on your side. We are fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all plugged in.
Let me see if we can. Can we get it? Otherwise, ये अभी थोड़ी देर में बंद हो जाएगा.
Seems like.
Why your power is 7% battery? So can we move on?
Yes.
Race for relevance. How do you have to let me know when you need to play, or you have to run any poll? Otherwise, I'll continue.
I think the polls are done. We can continue.
Okay, great. So race for relevance. What does it mean for you? Just a question.
Thoughts. I think the horror people in the horror should. I'm sure they want to speak as well. So can we give them a turn?
Yeah, we can.
What do you think
What
about
does
race?
it mean for you?
And it's as simple as it's such a simple subject that I explained this to my wife, and the next day she was talking about this in her speech to UET students. I don't know how she related it, but race for relevance. Matching the expectation of markets. Sajid, what do you think of that? Race for relevance.
We need to upgrade our knowledge, whether we are working in that area or.
What's the background story of race or relevance?
For being relevant. The background is that there has been a major shift in the market demand. What is market demanding? The demand of the market has been shifted a lot in previous decades. So we need to upgrade our skill set in order to be relevant to the business we are working in or to the employer we are serving. So we need to update our knowledge, our skill set. For example, accounting standards are being updated regularly. So we need to understand and relate the newly adopted accounting standard to our company or our business in order to be relevant.
That's a very descriptive answer, very long, but that's yes or no. I mean, one question, one answer from the hall, Umar Zahir, and then we move on.
Okay, first of all, Sajid and Harun, congrats for putting up this very relevant session. Race for relevance for me is just like ACCA says, thinking ahead. Many things have been said which are right. You have to update your knowledge, but update is more like catching up. What relevance means for me is not just knowledge, but in terms of the technological landscape that has been continuously evolving. You stay ahead of the curve. You are thinking ahead what is going to happen, how these technological changes would impact the real world scenario, the businesses, and what would be the impact on accounting today. not bean counters anymore, as you often say. We say finance professional, and even more now, strategic thinker and partner. So to sum it up, that is race for relevance.
I think the term race in this is very, very important, which means it's a mad dash. I mean, you can't just be trotting or walking. It's a race, actually. And if you're left behind, you're not relevant. That's a short answer.
Being competitive.
Being competitive. There is an element of competition in this because of the race. Yes, Sajid, back to you. Sajid, are you there? I think we have to try to. Very important slides coming up. So, in the meanwhile, we can have some conversation here. When we're talking about race for relevance, I think it is about a 10 years old phenomenon that ACCA had started anticipating that the role of finance professionals is going to change. ACCA had anticipated, first of all, that the role of CFOs and counsels is going to change. And CFOs will no longer be, just be the owner of financial information. Yes, we can hear you now, but you need your camera switched on also. Camera on. They will be the owner of the entire commercial chain in the organization. They will be the owner of, the vision of the organization. Where should the organization head? And this was not 2 years back, 3 years back, but at least about 10 years back. Now ACCA is saying that the entire profession is going to change. And there is like we're discussing, a mad race for relevance. Right? And those 7 portions that Sajid had shown literally be sitting in the back of your mind all the time. Only those individuals who have all those 7 portions in them are going to remain relevant accountants. Otherwise, they are going to be very soon replaced by robots. And talking about how speedily the transaction is taking place, if I tell you that KPMG offices in the world, in developed world, have already deployed robotics, robots. Okay.
And one of your friends, I think, was from EY.
Harun, can you hear me now?
Yes, Sajid.
Okay, can I take over from here?
Yes, please go on.
Okay, thank you. So just while we had that technical glitch, I was sharing one story. In a very initial day, I was asked to do a asset tagging, and I was like a professional accountant, passed the first step, all the prides or everything there. And then it was quite a big organization, and they have assets across Pakistan. And I was tagging that. I went back to my manager. I said, "Why me? Anybody can do that. Matric, Inter, BCom, with a little bit training can do this asset tagging. Why me?" He just replied me, "You have to find value. So add value. If you believe you are a professional accountant, how you can add value there?" I think that was a one question which really triggered a lot of energy, and also to look the same assignment from a different perspective. And in 6 months, I was sitting on an acquisition side, and I had the best knowledge about the organization because I met everybody in the organization. I knew about the assets, what they are valued, what are the obsolete ones, what the productivity was. And I think that assignment helped me to understand the organization way better than anybody else who was working there for last 10 years, because that was a wonderful opportunity. At the same time, when I applied my knowledge in terms of when the data is collected, that was altogether different, because somebody working on data without having an understanding of a ground reality, I had a different perspective again, because I was there tagging every air condition on the roof and going through all that milk collection area jahan pe gobar tha, and I can really understand and have that emotional relationship with people as well as the assets and their conditions. I think that's the one question which really drive everything, that how I can add value. The second part which I learned in this profession, you have to stay ahead. In 96, 97, I was talking about ERP and BPR, and most of my colleagues were making fun of me, like, this is Pakistan, it's not gonna happen. The first assignment I got in my, second or third assignment I got from my first job was all around the ERP and really restructuring the business processes, not only in Pakistan, but across different countries. Just because what I was talking about, nobody else was talking about at that time. I was doing all the research, I was like acquiring that knowledge, and that was reflected in my professional and social gatherings. So that's one of the example. And I started in a very, very humble background. Like there were times when I have to trade off between the lunch and cigarette, and most of the time I go for cigarette, by the way. So I started on that particular area. जो stipends level आज आप देख रहे हैं वो शायद उस वक्त नहीं थे. We used to get 700, 800 rupees in mid 90s as a stipend, and that's somewhere which is even not good enough to commute. And but in a 4-year effort, and one of our philosophy, one of our manager told me, do it once, but do it right. तो आपको सारी जिंदगी दोबारा नहीं करना पड़ता. कुछ देर की मेहनत है, वो 3-4 साल की वो जो मेहनत थी, that's paying off. Just staying ahead. आज अगर आप बात करेंगे उस चीज की जो आज एग्जिस्ट करती है, that's mean you are not there, because आज जो चीज एग्जिस्ट करती है वो already obsolete है. That's why this PI, when we were talking about the professional insight around the artificial intelligence, we were talking about the quotients. These are not the things which may exist exactly in the same shape and form today, but that give you a view of future. And if you are preparing yourself, as soon as those things are there, you are the first one to grab that opportunity. जो भी brands है, आज अगर आप किसी भी बड़े ब्रांड की बात करते हैं, गूगल की, एप्पल की, सैमसंग की, नेस्ले की, यूनिलीवर की, उनकी सबसे बड़ी स्ट्रेंथ है उनकी R&D, because they stay ahead. उनकी वो प्रोडक्ट पहले आती है, उसकी नकल उससे 4-5 साल बाद आती है. So that's what PI gives you. And just moving on, and that's what keep you in that race for relevance. This is your attitude and the behavior which will drive you, and that behavior will force you to read more or to acquire more knowledge or build those conversation or networking. Can we move on? Next slide, can we go on? Oh, and I love this one. That's again one of our early learning. What do you think, and that's a question from Karachi face to face, and the people online can, or Lahore can also reply to that. If you are average, if you are delivering an average performance, what type of rewards do you expect? Below average, right? If you are doing a good performance, what type of rewards you expect?
It must be good one. It should match the performance.
Okay, so somebody saying good. Anybody from Karachi or online?
Like expect average reward on a good performance.
Yes.
And then on outstanding performance, we can then expect the outstanding.
Exactly. So equation works differently. Cam, if you can press one more. If you can move on. Yeah, that's just hold on there. Average performance. You are not hired by your client or your employer for average performance. You are hired for good performance. That's a fundamental expectation that you will perform good. If you are performing good, you are just meeting the expectation. So the reward will be, it can't be good. Reward will be average or below average, because that's what you are hired for by your client or employer. Outstanding performance is the one where the things start changing. There is no concept of good rewards. Either there is average or below average, or the next jump is outstanding rewards. The good rewards is somewhere between the good performance and outstanding. Somewhere people may judge that one, but these are the 3 pillars. Understand your reward systems. And it's not only applied to the professional accountant, that's applied in life as well. It's applied in a relationship as well. Even if you are like as a son or as a daughter, unless until you go for an outstanding performance with your parents, you can't get the outstanding rewards from them. If you are doing good to them, that's good, that's expected. But outstanding means you have to take a step further. You have to be better than what they are expecting, right? ये नहीं करना कि आपने expectation बड़ी low set कर देनी है. I have seen people doing that as well. Guys, I'm so bad that nothing. You should not be expecting anything, and then you start delivering at a good level. That's not the way. People do judge that in a 2-3 years time. एक आध साल तो शायद आपका चल जाएगा कि आपने expectation इतनी low set की हुई थी कि वो आपको immediate jump मिल गया. Long run में it doesn't work. And every time coming out as an outstanding performance, that's mean there is a lot of effort and time you have to invest. at least in your initial review. Can we move on? In life, what we look for is pride. The ultimate target everybody is looking for is pride. And that pride is defined or determined by the desired lifestyle. And desired lifestyles are achieved with a certain effort. If we can come previous, effort or luck. There are very few people who hit the luck. Most of the people come to that with the effort. And those are based on decisions which we make either based on a passion or belief or based on an information or awareness. So if we go with that scale again, so we make decision either based on our belief, that's totally okay. So you make a decision which you believe in. You might not have a right information, but then you drive it. Or you make a decision based on the information, consultation, consensus, and then you make an effort towards that. Then that effort leads to the desired lifestyle, and those desired lifestyle create a satisfaction and the pride. But everything happens over a time scale. There's no shortcut to that. So that's mean you have to go through that entire process, and you have to give yourself a decent time to get to that pride level while achieving your desired lifestyle, putting the right effort and making your decision. And that leads us to the next level, which is, if you can, Cam, bring the next slide. And I'm going to share with you 2015 data. It's not a 2017-18 data. We will be getting that. This is what employers tell us, that there are different entry level. So you can come and join ACCA at a different entry level. If you are a matric student and you come through the foundation diploma, you go through the ACCA and you become an affiliate. So stipend range for the over 3-year training. If you are in a public practice, at that time it was 8 to 13,000. Now it's almost 11 to 15, 16,000. In a corporate sector, the general stipend level range from 18 to 30,000. If you are coming with a A level or graduation or from a higher education, so that's mean from the age perspective you have attained more maturity. So it does not reflect the entry level, but it's reflect the certain level of maturity. So that's the reference points which employers have given. A new member, and there's always a difference, and we have seen a lot of members negotiating a salary based on their previous stipend. So somebody getting a 45,000 as a stipend, they go out and they negotiate salary based on 55,000. Stipend and salary, these are two different components, right? So we have to understand the difference between that. Stipend is a training and the salary is for members. So there's a job market and there's a training market. A lot of students and members, they have confused that over the period. Our membership is still very young. Our members on average are below 30. So that sometimes creates confusion for not only for themselves, but also for employers. After 5 years goal, and that's where everything equates. Post-qualification, within the 5 year, you have to hit somewhere like 300,000 K plus. And that's, if you set your targets right, then you can work towards that. So these are the feedback which we have collected back in 2015, and we have to update that in 2018, inshallah, to see what the benchmark employers are willing to pay and to whom. If you can go to the next slide, and that's one of a reference point for new members. These are the people whom they want to pay, and now we are talking about the member that's been 75 to 80,000. A new member who comes out with a certain competency framework, which act ethically and legally, proactive. Then they can look about. You can talk about the soft skill side of it, and that's also a very important one, where they start with the self-assured, well-dressed and well-groomed. We have seen people who were appearing in an interview in an organization like Standard Charter or Nestle, and they were wearing chappals and they were like shave badi hui hai aur bade casual mahal mein wahan pe aa rahe hain. They may be very, very competent, but there is an expectation gap. If somebody is coming to this type of organization, they expect a different type of dressing, right? Punctual, credible. One thing every member has to realize, you put opinion and somebody really provide money around it. चाहे आप board member की बात करें, चाहे even मैं तो एक बड़ी छोटी सी example देता हूँ, एक accounts payable clerk at a very, very early stage, when they say ये invoice verify हो गई है ना, तो organization make a payment. So they take their words. So your opinion and somebody's word. So you have to really understand the credibility side of it. Research capability. That's also a very desired one. Social networking, problem solving, decision making, team player, English language, writing, reading, verbal, listening. Listening is a very interesting one. They believe the professional accountants are the one who build opinions, right? And they provide opinion to the organization. चाहे आपने board में as a CFO लेके जाना है या आपने अपने CFO को feed करना है. So एक बहुत important skill है कि they can listen. And listening is not just hearing. Listening means you listen and then you digest it and then you reflect on that, right? So you build opinion by understanding the data which is available and what people are saying and what actually they are doing. So all these things need to be reconciled. IT literate, bare minimum MS Office and ERP, and I'm glad अभी जो हमने अभी sample देखा है उसमें ये चीज काफी ज्यादा है. Local laws. They don't expect you to be expert on that as a new member, but they expect कि उनके जो basic fundamental compliances हैं, you can understand that. And if you want to really acquire that, there are so many videos which are available on the ACCA side or YouTube channels that really help you to build that local laws knowledge. And that's not restricted to taxation. It covers the customs, it covers the sales tax, it covers the corporate laws as well. So all those things are available. So this is the benchmark which they see for a new member. And Cam, if you can go back to the previous slide.
Yes.
And now look again. Most of the people, or as a member, they were expecting to be in the range of 250 to 500,000, and that's exactly what the employer is willing to pay as well. So there is no gap between your expectation and their expectation. The gap may be between. If you can come to the next slide. There could be a gap how you sell yourself. Can you come previous slide? How you package yourself, and rightly gentleman said, how you can really represent all that as a full package. So if you go back to the seven questions are talking about the same thing. It's how you are going to package it. It's not that you don't have it. How you package it and represent that in front of your buyer, whether it's a client or vendor. Can you come to the last slides after benchmark?
Okay.
Previous one, second last slide.
Start the journey.
That's slide 12.
Next slide show. F5. F5 पे जाके वो start करें.
Slide 12. आप पीछे जा रहे हैं.
No, fine. Just move on. आगे
Slide
चलो.
12.
That's it.
And just after that, yes, hold on. This is a point where you have to make your decisions. Your potential lies in your imagination and your decisions, and then the plans, how you create those milestones, how you acquire those knowledge. Nobody can limit your potential except yourself. और अगर आप ये कहें कि मुश्किल नहीं होगा, रोड ब्लॉक्स नहीं होंगे, चीजें बहुत स्मूथ होंगी, तो I think that's not the right expectation. But ultimately, if you know where you want to go, set yourself a material target. Be very, very materialistic. I want to get at the $1 million in the next 5 years. What does it take? Who pays million? Right? Why they pay million? How I can get there? How I can follow through that role model who's getting that million today? And you can see within that group, जब हमने शुरू में एक exercise किया from expectation to the real salary, there are people who are earning over 500,000. There are people who are earning 750,000. But is it their maximum potential? Maybe no. There might be a decision that they want to reach to 3 billion rupees. And there are people in Pakistan who are getting 12 million rupees as a salary a month. There are people who are getting 15 million. There are a lot of people who are getting 5 million plus. And there's a number of finance professionals who are getting 2 million plus. Right? What does it take to get there? It's a matter of decision. So your true potential lies in your own imagination and the decision. And then ACCA is totally there to support if you want to plan it, like where you are starting your journey, how much time you should give to yourself, which type of network you should interact with, what type of professional capability you should build, what type of social capability you should build, what type of futuristic view you should have. Use PR, use ACCA. You are paying subscription. If uska benefit le. If somebody is less than 5,000 today, you have 5,000 pound a year today. They have an option to pay a subscription at 119 or equivalent to affiliate right now. So just make sure you stay connected. Avail all those assets which can help you, but they can help you. They cannot really dictate you. They can help you to achieve your potential. But the first thing you have to do, you have to go back to make a decision. I again share one of my story. Way back at the age of 14, 15, I was very lucky. I got a very good mentor throughout my life. I just did my metric and I was sitting with somebody who was PhD in civil engineering, and he just gave me a one advice there. Why don't you sit down, take a white paper, spend a good 4 or 5 hours and see how you want to progress in your life and how many routes or how many pathways you can take to get there. And there could be many, right? And that helped me at least to create some material milestone. Or he was very kind. He was like, बजाय इसके कि हम एक confusion या debate में जाएं कि मैंने spiritual being बनना है या मैंने एक material, he said set yourself material goals, the rest will follow through that. आपको एटलीस्ट वो उससे रिलेट करना आसान है. अगर आज हम कहें ना मैंने एक मटेरियल गोल सेट करना है कि मैंने अपनी अर्निंग 5 लाख या 1 मिलियन या 750 पे लेके जाना, it's easy for me to digest and easy for me to prepare for that. During that preparation, I'll learn more things. I'll learn around the spirituality. I will learn around emotional intelligence. I will learn around digital savviness. Right? All these things will follow through. लेकिन अगर आज मैं कहूं कि मैंने एक स्पिरिचुअल बीइंग बनना है तो शायद मेरे लिए उस पाथवे और रोड मैप को क्रिएट करना मुश्किल होगा मेरे लिए. Most of the people may be able to do that, but I have to understand myself. I have to be self-aware around myself and how I'll get there. जब आप एक दफा डिसीजन करते हैं ना, then the rest of the universe align to deliver that. जब तक आप कंफ्यूज है ना, तब तक आपके लिए rest of the universe they cannot align because उन्हें नहीं पता उन्होंने आपके लिए क्या करना है. It's a law of attraction. You attract all that energy once you decide that. And आपका potential शायद आपको भी नहीं पता. So you have to create those milestones. और for the Muslims I will say एक दफा आप फैसला करते हैं ना तो अल्लाह ताला उसमें बरकत डालता है. जब तक आप फैसला नहीं करते ना, वो बरकत वाला कंपोनेंट मिसिंग है. So आप फैसला करते हैं relying on God and you move on. जब तक आप अपने रिसोर्सेज पे रिलाय कर रहे हैं कि मैं इसको जानता हूं और इसको नहीं जानता, या मैं कराची में हूं और मैं लाहौर में नहीं हूं, तो अपॉर्चुनिटी, दैट्स यू आर रिलाइंग ऑन द मटेरियल रिसोर्सेज. यू आर नॉट रिलाइंग ऑन दैट faith and you are not making that decision. You are not taking that, you know, initially हमने decision making में एक चीज देखी थी, believe. So you are not believing in yourself. You need information and awareness, but the bigger thing you need is a passion and belief. And particularly for members, you have to define your own career. You can't let anybody else define and do or help you to progress that. They can help, sorry, they cannot lead your career. अगर आप वेट कर रहे हैं कि आपका मैनेजर आएगा और वो आपको प्रमोट करेगा, आपका मैनेजर आएगा वो आपकी सैलरी बढ़ाएगा because you deserve that, believe me, nothing like this thing exists in the world. There's nothing exists which called deserve. I deserve, so I'll get it. You have to really be proactive around it. And you have to keep doing what you are good at. You have to keep progressing towards that. And definitely, वो अल्लाह की तरफ से चीजें आती हैं, but you cannot act as an entitled one. हम जन्नत के entitled नहीं हैं, हमें earn करनी पड़ती है. Right? We have to do those good deeds to earn it, or we have to do the good deeds to avoid like hell. So you have to really do those efforts within your career, even if you have to do the material success. So my only point is that you have to start your journey, and starting point is that fraction of second when you will make a decision that what you really want to achieve, and then there has to be a start, and then you have to have a belief and faith in yourself that you can get there, and then the entire universe including ACCA will be helping you to get there. लेकिन जब तक वो fundamental decision नहीं होगा ना, तब तक confusion रहता है. So your entire potential exists what you can imagine. If you can't imagine it, you can't picture it today in a visual form, it's very difficult. And it's not an easy journey. So if you can visualize today yourself, and I'll give a one example, somebody is really in love with the cars and they want very, very fancy cars. He always visualize or in like driving that car in a 5 year. That was such a motivation for the person that he kept doing all the efforts to get there. If not 5 year, in a 7 year, he got there because he can visualize. That visual really became a driving factor for them. So आपका potential जो है वो आपकी imagination के साथ link है. What you can imagine, you can. So that's overall. While we are talking about the good part, starting from a self-awareness where we started and we talked about what we expect, where we stand today, and then talking about that gap, what employer expect from you. So I think we try to reconcile, and the good news is that what employer is willing is exactly what you expect. It's just the benchmark. They have got a different benchmark or a value where they feel that the benefit is there. So their benefit is based on those benchmark which they have provided us as a feedback that this is the type of new member we are looking for. And do segregate between the trainees and stipend, members, job, and salary. Because I have witnessed a lot of conversation where the student or affiliate has projected themselves as a member and HR really got confused. तो उन्हें नहीं समझ आ रही थी कि एक ACCA है वो ₹1.25 लाख मांग रहा है, एक ACCA है वो ₹25,000 मांग रहा है. So what's wrong in that? They ended up really like वो उन्होंने headcount freeze कर दिया. उसमें क्या हमें नहीं समझ आ रही है कि they called us and then we have to literally explain that कि ये students हैं और ये members हैं. So then they have to segregate कि उन्होंने members के लिए ये job है या ये एक training opportunity. So ये सारी conversation हमें HRs के साथ करनी पड़ती है. But we will definitely like to leverage you as a member while you come across any HR professional, while you come across any employer, do advocate that how they should see ACs. हमारी हमेशा एक limitation होगी. We are 23, 24 people in the entire Pakistan, but we are over 10,000 Pakistani national members. और आप हर जगह बैठे हुए हैं और हमारे पास बहुत से एडवोकेट्स भी हैं. वी हैव गॉट मोर देन 100 एडवोकेट्स जो कि एक फॉर्मल प्रोग्राम में हमारे साथ काम कर रहे हैं जो इन चीजों को एम्प्लॉयर तक लेके जाते हैं. बट इफ यू गेट एनी अपॉर्चुनिटी, मेक श्योर पीपल अंडरस्टैंड यू एंड योर ब्रांड बेटर. So that's from my side. Any question which is out there?
I think there are many questions. People online will be asking questions as well. But Sajid, on a special request, can you also talk about the power of our network? I mean, the network of members, and how can members make good use of that? I mean, I've heard you talking about your network is your network. Can you talk about that?
I think that's a that thing really got a good traction. Network. How many are you on LinkedIn? Everybody. How you value that your profile? Based on?
Based on the number of views or number of calls I get.
Number of connections. That's how LinkedIn rate you. So it's a 500 plus. So they are different. What you try to get out of that network? Anybody? Endorsements. So these are the two key features. How big is your network? How many people endorse you? फाइनेंस और इंजीनियरिंग का एक बड़ा पर्टिकुलर डिलेमा होता है. इंजीनियरिंग में somebody will hand over you करोड़ों की मशीनरी, $1 million की मशीनरी आपको हैंड ओवर करते हैं to run, manage, maintain or use it for production, right? Similarly, in finance, they hand over you the confidential information and the cash flows and sometimes the authority to sign up the checks, right? Normally, from a hiring perspective and from a client perspective, whenever somebody wants to get these type of people in, they try to find in a network who can endorse one thing. अच्छा बंदा है, मैं जानता हूँ, अच्छा value set है इसका. That is the value of your network. The type of profession you are in, you need a lot of people who can endorse you, not for your professional competencies, not only for your social skills. Also, I know the guy. That's the only comfort level your employer or client is looking for. आप कभी किसी, if you happen to arrange a marriage ceremony for someone in your family, so पहली चीज आप क्या पूछते हैं? शादी हॉल कैसा, कोई बता सकता है किसी का एक्सपीरियंस है उस शादी हॉल का, वहां पे खाना कैसा था, right? You try to get those references. That's how the world works. You have to create those references. The bigger the network you have, the bigger the net worth you have. More people know you as your brand. That means you are more sellable because you have got a lot of endorsement. आज नेस्ले का दूध लेने जाएं तो नेस्ले का दूध इसलिए ले रहे होते हैं लोग क्योंकि there is a lot of endorsement which says it's good. At least perceived value is good. I'm not sure आप lab में test करें तो आप क्या result में. But there are a lot of people who will say खुला दूध अच्छा नहीं है, मेरा ये निकल आया था, मेंढक निकल आया था, ऐसे हो गया वैसे हो गया. So there is a negative word of mouth. So again इस network की power है और आपके पास जो सबसे बड़ा edge है, you have got a global network of over 200,000 people. Harvard की सबसे बड़ी strength क्या है? उनका alumni, and they use that alumni. And you have got a largest alumni base, 200,000 active members. You are being known to many employers and many people around the world. So you have to leverage this network. Let's say if we are talking about Karachi, the people who are sitting there, just make sure while you are leaving, exchange your card, try to understand each other and try to stay connected, even using a WhatsApp good morning message. Someday where you will again interact with each other and you will, by that time you will know each other better. कि आप जो मुझे गुड मॉर्निंग मैसेज भेजते थे उसका जो क्रिएटिव था, जो आर्टवर्क था, वो बहुत अच्छा होता था. बट यू विल नो अदर पर्सन बेटर एंड पर्सन विल नो यू बेटर एज वेल. कल को वो आपके लिए एक रेफरेंस क्रिएट हो जाता है कि हाँ इस शादी हॉल का खाना अच्छा है, यहाँ पे शादी की सेरेमनी की जा सकती है. So these are the references which everybody is looking. So going back to the very fundamental thing, we have to understand the gap, which we did, to what employer is doing and what we expect, but we have to package ourselves right. And once we package ourselves right, then we have to use our network to create that word of mouth, which can create me or you as a brand. And once you are a brand, then you are not Nokia. Then you are an iPhone and then you are a Samsung. You are not the fundamental accountant who can do the basic voice call and SMS. You can have all the apps and you have all those 7 quotients to really deliver a value where the benefit for the client or employer is higher than the price. And the more the benefit go up, more your value will go up. So that's a very fundamental, simple equation. Harun, anything else?
I think there are loads of questions from the online participants. If we can go one by one, we can start with Lahore. People who are present here is about 15 people who are sitting in the room right now. So from here, if we can start asking questions, then we can go to Karachi and then online participants. I think we should take about 15 minutes for question and answer.
I'm fine.
Wrap up the session. Okay?
Right.
Any questions from the Lahore audience?
When is Sajid coming back to Lahore?
Sajid is okay. Sajid, people expecting you back in Lahore.
I'll be in office on 9th morning.
Great.
As per current schedule.
Okay. Any questions? Any comments?
Yeah,
What
comments,
has been said?
certainly.
Yes, please go on.
I have very serious problem with my career. My brother is an ex-CFO of a multinational. He trained me according to the multinational requirements. ACCA also have done the same job. But the tragedy is I always get the job from the state culture.
Can I turn the camera to this individual, Sajid?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, go on.
I always get the job to the state culture organization where most of these things are not are even applicable, or else they don't want to apply these things. How can I survive cultures like these? It's irritating. It's really depressing even for me. I need advice on it.
Okay, so I'll go back to the fundamental equation. What benefit you can bring to that organization?
Benefits.
And you have to think and immerse in their reality, not in your reality. What benefit you can bring to that organization?
I can render them services they want. I'm in internal audit. I can serve them as an auditor. I can make their policies being applied. I always try to understand what their expectations are, but most of the times these are not well defined. So
Very true.
so it always takes to understand their requirements. I still don't have a job description where I'm currently working, and there are so many gaps to fill there. So how can I know what I can offer them? There are very less documentations and issues like that.
Okay. The first thing, our personal need is clarity, right? As a person, I might need a JD and a very clear expectation. The management expectation or need is that you should be able to navigate ambiguity where things are not very clear. That's what management expectation is. And going back to to your question, whether working as an internal audit, and I'm talking about a SAT do not like internal audits. They just want to make sure that there is enough control कि उनका cash flow जो है वो fraud ना हो रहा हो या cash flow ना कहीं पे compromise हो रहा हो और चीजें जो है वो उनकी side पे सही रहें. So that's a fundamental expectation any state organization will have from an internal audit. But the second part, what they can expect, which they may not expect, but you can deliver, how you can improve the overall productivity, sales, or revenue, how you can add value in their business. So you might have to go, and that's you are lucky. There's no JD, so you can do whatever you want. So 80% you might have to meet that expectation कि fraud or सारे controls जो हैं वो in place हों, but you can start spending 20% of time how you can improve revenue, productivity, or reduce cost in a good way, not by getting the people out or reducing the stock covers and all that. So you can come up with the right sales strategy, and you can move on to the strategic input which you can provide to SAT. Every SAT is looking for somebody who can tell them how the future look like and how they can really grab more money or create more revenue streams. So as an internal audit, because you have got a view around the entire organization, you are best placed to understand the current productivity, market opportunity gap, and what need to be done to really deliver that one. So that's our framework, how we define internal audit. There are a lot of organizations. Just giving you another state organization, HR example. उस सेट ने HR के लिए सिर्फ एक KPI सेट किया है, how HR can help them to improve the per person productivity per year with the same number of people. So उसने पूरे HR की dimension change कर दी है, जहाँ पे अब HR training भी दे रहा है, they are making people like happy, they are keeping them motivated, वो salary भी दे रहा है और साल में उनका जो KPI evaluate होता है वो ये है कि per person productivity पिछले साल से ज्यादा होनी चाहिए in a quantity as well as value terms.
Okay.
So I think JD में जो है ना ये you are very lucky कि आपके पास defined role नहीं है and you can go for that, but it's your choice and definitely it's not again an easy journey क्योंकि आपसे जो इस वक्त आपकी perception होगी या आपकी जो reputation होगी वो इस वक्त फर्क होगी, but you have to set a road map कि next 2 years में आप इसको किस तरह change कर सकते हैं. You will be the best buddy for that state if you can help them to increase the revenue or grab new business opportunity, but you have to step out from your current comfort zone. Lucky one, you don't have a JD.
Okay, thank you.
You can never do that.
I think there's another term very common at ACCA, I mean ACCA Pakistan, and Sajid has brought that term in again. You have to write your own JD. I mean, imagine if it's not your employer, it's you writing your own job description. And the number 2 thing that Sajid also mentioned, immerse yourself in that organization. Consider that you are the owner of that organization. Okay. What would you expect happening from employees of that organization? If you are there, if you're delivering what the owner of the organization is expecting, I think you will automatically get an answer. So what is the organization giving you a job description?
Sometimes owner doesn't know what he should expect. Sometimes you set that expectation where what I can do. So the first thing, immerse in that reality of the owner, and then you might be delivering something which he never expected.
Okay, there is one more thing. You said having not a JD is very good thing, but there is one problem when you don't have a JD. I asked my boss, what is my JD? He said, if I want you to sit idle whole day in the office, it's my decision, and if I want you to work whole day in the office, it's my decision. This is your JD. So it's a big limitation on me. I can't innovate. just have to wait for his instructions or what he is thinking, and he come next day and ask me go for that assignment, go for that assignment. So it's another barrier.
Are you in audit?
Yes, I am in audit, internal audit, but I am reporting to manager internal audit. I'm not in CPA.
I think the best JD I ever saw was a very simple one: add value. And I love that JD, add value. So having a JD is a restrictive. It creates a constraint what you can or can't do. Second thing, my learning of the life is you have to train your boss. You have to have enough courage, go back and tell them how you should be treated and why and how you can add value. Not an easy journey. You will run like into the conflict. But end of the day, if you can again bring a benefit higher than the cost, they will start valuing you. So I think we sometimes use those uh, conventional constraints to define our role and deliverables. If you go beyond that, then it's an issue. And going back to the internal audit assignment, you have to understand internal audit get access to a very confidential information and which can create a lot of conflicts and opportunity. And also sometime in some organization, it's a very sad thing. In some organization, some internal audit manager misuse that information to influence the other functions or department rather than adding value. So you really have to understand that cultural thing, and then it take more time to change the culture. But if you can define the problem right, I think that's where you will start delivering. If you get the question right, half of the problem is done. So if you have a right problem statement, you can see a milestone. But again, there's nothing short term. You have to plan for it. You have to progress on an inch by inch, but you will get there as long as you decide you want to make that progress. But everybody has got their own individual situation. You have to understand your culture, the people you are dealing with, but there's always an opportunity to progress and improve if you decide so. But not an easy journey. Don't expect that कि वो बड़े आराम से सारी चीजें हो जाएगी. It's gonna take effort, understanding, but fail fast. Rather than waiting for it, getting a concrete information, you have to navigate through that ambiguity, fail fast, learn, move on. Speed is the name of the game.
Okay, thank you.
All right, one very quick question and then we'll move on.
Yes, I have a question which is based on both the affiliates and the new members, probably. I have a question related to the approved employers. I won't be hinting a lot, but I'm working at Partner Group, and it's an approved employer. I don't know its category, either it's gold or platinum. I'd like to know more about what is exactly is your criteria about the approved employer, and why, what exactly are you doing with it and about it? Like, is there any specific requirement for the training of your trainees? Is it about the development? What exactly are we trying to achieve from these programs?
So approved employer programs. So just a quick answer.
And specifically these ACCA training programs, because they are using the title ACCA. We have to take it out from
all approved employers will have an ACCA training.
Yeah, exactly. So what are we trying to achieve from that?
Sajid.
How you want to take up, or
I can answer that if you want.
Yeah, sure, go ahead. I thought you started that.
I think very clearly, an approved employer program, number one is a reflection of ACCA's penetration into the market, into the employment sector. But at the same time, there are certain caveats, certain conditions that every organization has to meet in order to become an approved employer. Number one has to be that that organization needs to have a professional qualified accountant in place who can supervise the work of all ACCA trainees employed there. Professional accountant who can supervise. Number two, the professional accountant should be able to assign tasks which are in line with the performance objectives of the ACCA program, or otherwise from within their own business need assign tasks which can relate to your professional development needs, which have already been explained to the organization, and that can eventually progress an affiliate towards membership. That is called the approved employer program for trainee development. There's another approved employer stream which is known as the approved employer for professional development. Now that's a different sphere, and that is linked with members working, ACCA members working in an organization and if that organization takes care of their CPD requirements, sends them on enough trainings, makes sure that their professional skills are up to the mark, etc., that is called an approved employer for professional development. Now, when we talk to employers and when we tell them that your organization is ready to meet our criteria for approved employer, there are all those there's a detailed criteria that they have to meet in order to get there. Okay? And once they get there, then of course ACCA goes in, hands over the certificate and then monitors them on an ongoing basis through our POC and through a point of contact at the law.
I have a question. You have mentioned that you regularly monitor. That's good that they meet the prerequisites. That's perfectly fine. But what about the ongoing monitoring? How is ACCA Pakistan? I'll be talking very specifically about ACCA Pakistan. How are they doing? Are they directly interacting with the trainees because they are the first person who knows exactly what's happening? Because if you are contacting some person from the HR, from the CFO, or the account or the assigned professional mentor, that's not. That will be just one-sided information.
That's the judgment in that.
Arun, if you allow me, I think if I go very candid that how our approved employer program working in Pakistan, I would say 60–70% employers are good. They are really implementing what they committed initially. There are still 30–40% people who became approved employer. They have committed something, but because there is a 3-year renewal process, they might not be delivering that value. There are two mechanisms which help us to understand that. There is one survey for the students or training we run every year, or now it's every quarter rather. So that's one way to communicate to us. But the best way is that pick up a phone and call us. Guys, in Pakistan, that I'm working with an approved employer and it's as per expectation, he's not or she is not really delivering that value. That's one part. Second part, we have identified that there is one issue which we really need to fix, and one for employer and one for our own students and affiliate. The employer has got a complaint, and specifically the employers who are not very big, that they have a retention issue. Student come join on 25–30,000 rupees, they get 27 to 32 and they move on. So they can't invest on the training side of it. So they need those trainees to stick around there over the period so they can invest in that. So that's one issue which they are facing. Second issue which trainees are facing is that they don't get assigned a proper practical experience supervisor who can take them to that 2 years or 3 years journey when they start with one and really help them to achieve that competency framework or the competencies which are required to complete the PER. Which end of the day, as a new member, when you come in a market, you do not really match those benchmark which employer is looking for, right? There are 2 or 3 different initiatives or interventions which are going forward. That's basically, it started like 6–7 months back, but it will be more visible where you will see ACCA starting interacting with practical experience supervisor as a focal point, taking in trainees on board as well, and making sure that the required support is available. We are interacting with trainees a lot, not in every organization, but we started with the top 100, 110, and we are getting a feedback how it's working, and we helped those organizations to change their policy in a certain extent, including the public sector, where on a 1st July 2016, they have started including they have included ACCA as a part of a qualification allowance. So there is a lot of background work is going, but I can definitely recognize it's not the best situation any organization or trainee is right now. We can't say that 100% approved employers are working in the right direction, but having an approved employer give us a leverage that if they want to stay approved, they have to really implement some of the stuff which is mandatory. But definitely, it's not a best situation if we say 100% employers are doing exactly what they have committed while becoming an approved employer. Does it represent your situation?
Yes, I think he agrees.
He has a valid point, and I'd like to add something. ACCA is doing a lot of efforts. I have seen this 100 employers in 100 days, but I fail to understand that why some employers are not taking part in that. It's a very good initiative, and we have to appreciate this. But I seriously don't understand why this is happening.
I think it's first we have to see it's 30 days, 100 employers, and 30 days it's a sprint exercise. So in the 30 days we have to touch those 100 employers, and you're right. There are employers who are not very excited, and there are employers who want 2 or 3 sessions now. But that's definitely their priority in terms of the time and the capacity building. But the good part is that it's a talk of town, and it's basically represent our member in a very encouraging way in front of most of the employers there. But everything evolves, and there are always different perspective and choices which employer or student or trainees or members will keep making. So we cannot generalize everything.
Okay, I think that's enough questions from Lahore. We can move on to Karachi if you want to take questions from there. Otherwise, we have loads of online questions. We'll have to probably pick and choose.
Karachi, if you have any burning question, otherwise we will get to the online. So Karachi volunteered that we can go for online one first.
All right, I think first.
And then they will come back to Karachi again. So first, let's entertain our colleagues, our students, members.
I think we'll have to start with blazing speed. Some questions I'll quickly answer. The first question is, can this session be claimed as CPD units? So I think this question is more about, giving you a direction, showing how big the canvas is, rather than just claiming CPD units, right? CPD units, there'll be a trillion other activities that you can do to claim CPD units. What does this MNP membership? What is MNP? That was Members Network Panel. MNP, not M&P. Members Network Panel, and I've described the role. Next, currently ACCA affiliates who do not have firm experience, but with corporate experience, getting lower salaries. What stance ACCA Pakistan is to take for affiliates placement in companies like Telenor, Mobiling, etc. So Sajid is comparing firm experience versus corporate experience, corporate sector experience, and then recruitment in multinationals. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I think if I understand the question right, so we are saying that there are a lot of affiliates or students who are coming with the corporate experience, and they feel that they are getting lower salary because of that.
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing we have to understand that the corporate.
Somebody actually lost the voice. I think this is what happened last time as well. Yes. I'm out. Stop.
I think that has more to do with the selling, how you really package yourself, and how you have that all the required skills, and how you can package
Part because the perception, because somebody who's hiring you for the senior position has gone through the old stream where people used to come from the audit firms, so they value it high. So somebody should stand in front of them as a smart challenger and can really represent that these are the skill set I have developed from a corporate training, and this is how I can add value. So this is more challenging that perception and really building that brand there. There is a general perception at a board level and at a CEO level or even at a CFO level. A well-rounded person is the one who basically completed the training in a multiple streams rather than in a one stream, and who can really represent the right commercial acumen. So I think these are the conversation you have to pick during the interview or while doing the selling part. Just that brings me nicely on a one area. How many you have really reviewed or completed your EPSM module, the new ethics and professional skill module? For all members, it's free of cost. Use that. It's 20-hour content, and that's give you real differential. Don't undertake the assessment unless until you really understand the entire content. It will give you a certificate on a different skill metrics as well, which you can really take it to your employer or your existing employer, or at least it helps you to upskill yourself in terms of what the big data mean, what are the ethical dilemmas, what are the personal effectiveness, communication, commercial acumen. So that gives you a very well-rounded experience, and it's free of cost for members. You have already paid for that. If you are a student, you are progressing at £60. But if you are a member, you have already got it. Just use that. Go through my ACCA account and use the EPSM. It's a very good tool for you to develop those skills. And specifically, what the gentleman is referring, conversation during the interview in your professional interaction or in your social interaction, that give you all the terminology which are very relevant for today's world problems. So it's more selling, and it's a hard selling, I can tell you right now, because if you are dealing with somebody who came through that audit route and they still value that one, then you have to really understand that personality. That's where the emotional intelligence come into play, and you have to take them to the route where you can do a better selling and break those perceptions.
All right, so very quickly.
All these organizations have got a finance-related management training program for ACCA, by the way.
Probably at this speed, we'll have to arrange dinner for all the participants as well. We'll have to be very quick because there are about 100 questions there. So let me ask you two questions and you can maybe answer them together. One is by Soban Khan asking, can we talk about pay parity between different industries and the number of years of membership experience? I mean, how are they linked? So for example, somebody working in banking versus somebody working in the textile versus somebody working in some other sector, or telecom sector maybe, which sectors maybe, I mean, that's what I understand from the question. Which sectors are better paying off?
I think there is a lot of research and surveys which are available online. I don't think I or ACCA Pakistan have got that survey available readily to share. But again, I go back to very fundamental. It's not about the banking or other sector. It's about relevance and your own personal brand. I have seen people getting very highly paid in textile, which may not be doing as good as it used to do in 20 years back, versus somebody who is working on a SEVP level in a banking or telco, which is a very in thing. So it comes down to the brand, and then the financial accounting or a professional accounting is one of a career option which is not industry specific. You can move across the industry, technology to manufacturing to multinational to a state organization, and you always find the relevant role there. So I think it's not like engineering where you do the civil engineering and you become expert in construction. I think the basic expertise any professional accountant acquire is how to learn and how to apply that learning. That's a fundamental for any professional accountant. So they can acquire that knowledge, and in 2 months they may be coming from manufacturing and they may be expert in a telco.
Okay, I think next question we can safely refer to Umar because he's in that business. The question is, can an ACCA member become a tax consultant in Pakistan? And if yes, what procedure is he meant to follow to be a tax consultant? And Umar is a tax consultant, so quick answer from you, Umar.
Yes, tax consultancy is one of the fields an ACCA member can opt to go for. Extremely simple process. Once you are a qualified member, you can go to your local tax bar, get the membership. ACCA has understanding MOUs with almost all the major bars. Pakistan Tax Bar also recognizes ACCA. So once you get that membership from them, you are free to carry on with your consultancy. I wish you all the best.
Great, thank you very much. The next question I'm deliberately skipping because this session is about ACCA and not ICW. The next one is, I know this is the topic, where do ACCA members stand in US job market? Do you any that US, or let me include Australia, let me include Middle East in it as well. So Sajid is making the question a little difficult.
So you want me to answer US, Australia, Middle East?
Yes.
Any other country you want to add?
Canada?
Still North America.
Right.
I think in Canada, ACCA has got a better recognition than the US. In US, it's a very limited states who really understand ACCA as a professional accountant. North America is significantly driven through US side is the CPA, and the Canadian side is historically is a chartered accountant. So that's how they leverage each other. In Canada, ACCA has got a better arrangements with the local institute in terms of the collaboration as well as some of the pathways. But definitely from a professional accountant perspective, we are more relevant to the English law countries, right? So that's the term you have to understand. The countries who follow English law, and that includes the Commonwealth countries like Australia, New Zealand, Middle East, Africa, Pakistan, Far East, most of the part of the Far East. China these days, China's ACCA is very, very big and very well respected qualification in today's world. So from a qualification recognition perspective, most of the employer will recognize ACCA apart from the North America because they have got a different laws and they have got a different structure. Really, if you want to work in that area, you might have to do a little bit additional qualification to understand their structure system. So, and again, somebody picked up on the tax side as well. I learned Pakistan tax, and I used to work on Korean, Turkish, and Australian taxation. It took me a week's time to really understand that, just because all these countries follow English law structure. So English law has got a certain structure, and based on that, you can quickly acquire that. Uh, Again, going end of the day, it's not your qualification which will matter. It's how you implement that or deliver the value using that qualification which matters. In Middle East, you will find all type of people. I have seen people ACC are very, very young, working on somewhere like 6,000-7,000 dirham, and I have seen a very young ACCA working on 50 to 60,000 dirhams as well. It's how they package themselves. It's not that both have got a different technical expertise. Everybody has gone through the same exam. It's how, again, that gentleman has really bring that thing out of today's session. How you sell yourself, right? So how you package yourself. So that will matter a lot. From an entry perspective, the good part is that other than the North America, which include even the Canada to a certain extent, ACCA helped you to get into those markets. But then really leveraging yourself is another ballgame. But those qualifications are recognized. In Middle East, there is a challenge of a degree because they do not understand the professional qualification. Luckily, people from Pakistan can claim their HEC equivalents or OBU equivalents, and they can leverage that to get the visas as well, which may not be the case if you are coming with CFA or CPA without the degree program.
Okay, the next question is from Dan bin Tariq asking, what are the steps taken specifically by for ACCA members regarding job opportunities? I think ACCA should conduct some sessions between employers and employees. I think he means employers and members. So, Sajid, what was?
I think the biggest chunk where we are conducting these sessions where the people are becoming a member advocate and they are going to employer and really showcasing their knowledge base, and that is getting an appreciation not only from their own employer but the employer who are outside their embed, and they are getting more recognition. So that's the first thing which anybody who aspire to really engage in these conversations, become a member advocate, pick up your professional insight, and we will deploy you, and we will make sure at least you visit 7 to 8 employers and have a conversation with them. And at the same time, you will have a conversation with their employees and their senior management. And then you can have a very focused one that how the future look like. So that's a one area where we are working. Second, there is a lot of intervention in terms of networking events. For example, the PLC, Pakistan Leadership Conversation, the event which is going to happen in Peshawar by 10th, that's another area. There will be evening hurdles which we are planning. It used to be there. We will be bringing that again. So a lot of members who are themselves are employed, they will be interacting. We will be bringing some of the employers as a keynote speaker in a smaller event, so at least you can interact and understand what they expect. It's just to understand their expectation. It's not necessary you have to work towards that. You still have to decide your own career and the goals, and you have to leverage that information to reach or progress towards what you want. So definitely there are things which are happening. Member advocate is a best area where you can start with. For student and affiliate, there are industry visits where they go to the employer premises, they meet a lot of people, and they understand each industry. Normally we try those young leaders who become a part of that program, they should visit at least 8 to 10 different industry in a 1 year. So that gives them a good, well-rounded experience from an industry perspective. So these are the things. Stay connected, get engaged, and there's a lot happening, and you can pick up where you want to contribute or what you want to leverage. Both the opportunity exists there. If you want to lead in any activity, more than welcome. If you want to leverage any existing activity, you are always welcome there as
well.
Yes, Sajid, very quickly, there was a question about demand and supply. So people saying that there's so many ACCAs and CAs in Pakistan and demand is very low, which is probably causing the issues about jobs. So can you please correct that information?
Uh, I think if we see the macro level right now, I think we will be easily short by 12 to 15,000 professional accountants without accounting for CPAC. We are getting requests from Chinese company that they want to import accountants from China because they are struggling to find somebody who can really help them to build that knowledge base here. Third area, if I just highlight, Australia is right now short by 110,000 accountants in the next 10 years, which they can't get just to support their current economy. Their two national bodies cannot produce enough accountants to support that. Kazakhstan is short by 50,000 accountants as we speak. Pakistan, from any comparison with the GDP, with the population, we need at least, as we speak right now, 12,000 bare minimum additional qualified accountants, and there is a big number of partly qualified or accountants who should be progressing. There is not an issue of demand, or let's put the word need there. It's again go back to that, how we really go back and sell. Are we selling ourselves as an accounts payable clerk, as an accountant who can build the financial statement, or we are selling ourselves as a strategic business leader who can really help businesses to get the strategy right? So what we are aiming and how we are positioning ourselves. People don't need, and like you, Harun, picked up rightly, the KPMG right now is working towards robot. They don't need people who can build the financial statement, because even Oracle or SAPs, or even we go QuickBooks and Tally, and there are a lot of software who can do that. If you will try to sell yourself in that, there's no demand for that one. But if you really want to sell yourself as a finance partner who can help business to understand its data and information better and extrapolate the future and help them from with the strategic inputs, I think these are the things in the conversation which every business is looking for. So there's a big need of that, but it's just the difference. Like when we talk about that, there's a lot of jobs which are empty, and there are a lot of people who are looking for jobs. But the mismatch is the skill set which employers are looking for versus the skill set which somebody is packaging or offering. And most of the time, and you will be surprised, most of the time the person who is trying to sell a skill set, he has got a better skill set, they just don't package it right. So they have to create that relevance and then package it. So there is a big demand, and we are short of accountants as to support our current economy. If we talk about 7 to 9% growth, believe me, यहाँ पे एक massacre हो रहा होगा और accountants नहीं मिल रहे होंगे आपको to support it.
And Sajid, just the advent of CPEC, and I don't know whether he mentioned that or not, but Sajid is saying that, I mean, he's very fond of narrating this, that is there not enough accountants in Pakistan to capture the growth through CPEC, you will be seeing Chinese accountants working in Pakistan. So, just saying there are not, I'm sorry, I'm giving a very crude example, there are not enough men in Pakistan for all the females to get, so Chinese are coming in and started marrying women in Pakistan. So, be prepared.
By the way, it's in a recent census, it's a reverse situation. So we don't have enough women to marry every man in Pakistan. So we have more male population compared to the female population.
Okay, all right. I think this next question by Raheel Firoz was identified as a good question. A compromise between the financial growth in a designation or a designation growth in an organization. So, for example, if the employer continues to give me one title after the other and then makes me a chief of something and then the director of something else, but doesn't give me increment, is that good enough? Or someone who keeps me at the same title but gives me handsome salaries? Well, what is better?
It's a personal choice. Let me first admit that. अगर कल को मुझे कोई कहता है ना कि मैंने जाके, that's a very, very personal choice. If I have to become a driver and drive his car for 8 hours or 10 hours a day, and he's willing to pay the bills which I'll put up there, I'll happy with getting that financial resource to support my lifestyle, right? I work to support my life. Work is not my life. Work is a way to support my life. So life has to be bigger than that. So it's a personal choices whether I would love to have a designation and a lesser salary or a lesser earning, or I would like to have a better earning. I'll not care about the designation, but I'll try to support my lifestyle using that earning. So I think it's a very, very personal choice. But the good part is that it's a decisive matter, right? You have to make a decision around it. So what you want, and whatever you want, you will get there.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
another.
In terms of salary or designation.
Sometimes you take a decision in a like with the shorter like perspective. Maybe you're getting a higher salary, but there is no like future perspective from that job.
That's why there are a lot of things. So
like multiple.
So Khurram Shahzad is there. He's referring that one of our comments. You have to take a longer term view where you really want to get, and that's how you have to plan your journey.
Right,
It's a very, very personal choices thing, and there will be consequences to that.
Another interesting question, and let's do multitasking. Let's have refreshment and attend to this. Um, um, there's a very interesting situation narrated by Moin Ibrahim, who probably has left, but since it's quite interesting, I think I should narrate it. He's saying a few months back he went for an interview and got selected. But when it came to the salary, the employer was of the view that I have already employed some ACCA members at much lower salaries than what you are demanding, even though the amount of salary which I asked for was a competitive one. So how to convince those employers?
I think that's a very burning issue. I think a lot of members have sold them in past in short, and I'll just share one example. Very recently, almost a year back, we got a call from a one telco. They said we interviewed a guy. He's a new member. We love the guy, but he's asking 50,000. How we can handle that? Our salary level is high. So in a 6 months time, the guy will figure out that he's paid on a lower side, and our mechanisms do not allow us to give him the raise what the initial salary should be. And we suggested, and he said, because we sat in and it's a HR head, so because we sat in a panel, I cannot ask the guy to just raise the expectation because he quoted that expectation. And then we suggested to put him on a probation, give him something which he can build a success, and then you can have a second round of raise rather than putting him on a regular appraisal for a year or so. So you are right. If the member have really sold them short, then it creates an issue for the other members. That's why it's important for the members to understand the certain benchmark, and at least when they go and build that conversation, we have to really talk about those common benchmarks. The situation is not that good right now because a lot of members, I know one member who worked 8 years on 30,000 rupees, and we were requesting him, the guy, to change your job, and he said, no, I'll not, because it suits my family. I'm sitting in Lahore, I'm very close to my home, and the activity which he was doing is a back-end job to process certain documents. He was not willing to take those risks. And now that organization sees a member worth 30,000 with 8 years experience, which is not a right reference or a reference which we can be proud of. But that's a personal choice for that member. Similarly, we had the situation which I was talking earlier where the ACCA, they want to hire ACCA and they were asking for 25,000 and 125,000, and HR was confused and they ended up freezing the headcount just because the student representing themselves as a ACCA, where the members were representing themselves ACCA, and it took us a while to explain that. So these are the ground realities, these are the situation, but the best person who can help us to advocate the right reference is the member themselves. And it's a situation यहाँ पे आपको बिल्कुल negotiate करते हुए challenges आएंगे, and you have to sell again. I love that word. You have to package yourself and sell yourself where you can really propagate what benefit you can bring to the table compared to others. Not an easy sell, but that's a consistent effort which we have to do collectively as a member yourself and as an organization or a membership body. We will be advocating that, and it's going to take some time. But our latest benchmark which we want to really achieve is the right salary level for our members and the right progression cost rate for our students. So that's a very clear fundamental objective for next 3 years. We are not going to look at any other objective, because this is the thing which we and member, we have to work collectively to improve that. just to raise awareness of employer and the members themselves as well.
I think the last three questions, because we've only got 45 minutes.
Okay, I'm standing since 5:30, right?
Okay, I mean, these are important questions, so I think this will benefit. Arjun Sawhney, all right, has asked that why are unpaid internships legal in Pakistan and how beneficial are those for affiliates? Internships that do not pay.
No, he's very right. Our average stipend range somewhere like 23,000, but that's include zero, and that's include 120,000 as well. So that's the range which we are working. ACCA do not believe in prescribing a stipend. So there are organizations, and especially if you go to a certain type of organization, they might start with not paying you stipend. Normal, what I have witnessed, and still I'm not saying that we are proud of that situation. Most of the time, they take 3 months with a zero stipend, and then they start paying the stipend. That's what we have seen. That has to do on the both sides. One part is on the employer side because they experience people joining in and leaving in a 2 to 3 months time. So they want somebody to really make an effort to stay, and then they start paying. So that's a general argument which employer brings to the table. There are students who are keep moving from one place to other, which create that type of doubts for the employer. So that's another side of it. The third side, there are generally some employers who exploit that situation because affiliates, they need certain, or student, they need certain training, and it doesn't matter for them whether they get paid or not, but they feel as an employer that they are giving the opportunity where the people will get maximum benefit. Not again a great situation, but we are aware of that situation as well. That's exactly the situation in 1904 where ACCA was established, when people used to pay to employer to get trained. So we are still lucky we don't have to pay. I believe I haven't encountered any case yet where people have to pay to get trained, but we still have very small proportion, but we still have a situation where people were paying zero. But those employers are not the ultimate beneficiary of that talent because the talent will never stay there. They will keep moving on, and they will get trained but not deliver value for that employer because they will get paid somewhere else. Even 5,000 10,000 भी उनके लिए matter कर जाता है. 0 versus 5,000 is a big jump. So we are engaged with those as well. We are trying to bring the contract. We are trying to bring those reference points there. We really want to highlight that what they lose if they don't pay, what the talent can do. Very, very unfortunate situation. Can you hear us?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, great. We were just having one conversation in Karachi. They said we are talking about packaging ourselves, and it's not covered in the exams normally. We said. I was just sharing an example that EPSM is the best piece right now. Every member has to go through. Go through that. Make sure you don't attempt it unless until you really read through that 20 hours worth of content. That will help you to really differentiate and package yourself better. Historically, to pass an exam, people make an effort to get 51 marks. That's what the target people start with. And that's the target sometimes tutors start with as well. So you don't go through that content in the real form. And you prepare for exam to pass the exam. Otherwise, that content is so wonderfully covering that all the packaging part, but because the exam does not reflect that the way, people try to attempt 51, 52, 50, 60 marks. So they normally skip that part. The good part with the qualification changes is now at a professional level, you don't have choice. So you will not have a choice in the question what you can pick and what you can leave. Number two, your professional skills are examined there as well, particularly with the strategic business leadership. So you have to really reflect on the commercial acumen, and it says that in the bottom of the question that this particular attributes you need to reflect, or this commercial acumen, or it's a skepticism, or it's a communication. So that forced you to learn those attributes now because people were skipping on that. So that's what we have tried to cover through the qualification. But as a member who have passed through that stage, EPSL, it's a solution, it's an answer to most of your questions. And it helps you to package yourself in a different way, and you can get those certificates as well, and you can evaluate yourself as well. It's a great tool. Affiliate who were affiliate at 31st October, yes, but affiliates who became affiliate after 31st October, no, they have to go through that 60. That's a part of the probation for them.
So the question is, the new EPSA module applies to which innovation?
Actually, in 2015, so that's correct.
Sajid, last two questions, and we promise we won't ask any more.
Okay.
One question is the final verdict on training in chartered accounting firms. What is the final verdict? What's the situation right now?
If I give you stats, so qualified people of qualified ACCA number in audit firms, especially Big 10, is higher than the number of qualified CAs. That's the ground we are. Yeah, so we have got Khurram Shahzad. So I'll let him let him reply that. Come on, Khurram. So I think we have got some right representation. So I think we can let him talk about it rather than I'm talking about it.
Just to respond to this question and update the members around, I have responded to many members over the social media as well, even in the conflict days when this issue was very hot. There was no complete ban on the hiring of the ACCA members. It's just that in the audit and assurance department, there is sort of a they were bit conscious about hiring ACCAs, but for non-assurance services in the conflict days and nowadays as well, ACCAs are have been hired as a common team like other accountancy body, and I've also shared this with Harun a bit of time that if you only talk about in terms of number, the number of ACCAs are more compared to any other accountancy body in the big four firms. So I don't think this sort of a misunderstanding is correct that ACCAs are not getting hired in the big four firms. There could be challenges, but still, especially in the non-assurance services, yeah, the stipend is high, and the stipend is high. So I was also talking to one of colleague here in ACCA that we actually need to communicate more with our members. So that could be one area where we can focus, because there are lots of misunderstandings and myths among the members, and that could be filled through the constant communication and sessions like today we are having.
You have to introduce yourself. A lot of people, especially online, may not know that.
Yeah, my name is Khurram Shahzad, and I'm being engaged with MNP. MNP is sort of a representative council in Pakistan, and we've got elections every 2 years, and there are 10 members in the MNP members in Pakistan. Vote for them every 2 years, and this MNP, as Harun was also explaining in the initial phase of the session, that they advise ACCA Secretariat on different members' affairs, and obviously we have subcommittees in the MNP working on the different issues like taxation, governance, and other SAP and SBP related matters. Or I've been engaged with MNP since 2014, and we keep on listening Sajid since then, and he's very consistent since then, and he keeps on talking about these three things. Obviously, we have talked about these things again today. Generally, we all know this. What is the pain point? The pain point is we have also discussed this in today's survey, as that these 20 to 30% members not getting incentives more than 75,000. So we're just talking about these 20, 30% ACCA members in Pakistan getting like pay less than 75,000. And obviously, Sajid has been consistent since 2014. I've been listening to him that you need to work on your brand. So we need to understand that ACCA is a sort of a platform which helps you to build your own brand. And we need to really understand that there is a difference between stipend and salary. So I've been through this journey. I'm working with EVA since last 12 years, and I've seen this situation where we also have that lack of clarity while like understanding this. There are like two situations after completing your situation. You may continue to work for the same employer, and then at that point, when you finish your articleship or training period, so you need to negotiate from that point of view that you don't need to relate your stipend with your salary for the onward period. And there could be second situation when you are like you have completed your articleship and training period and you are joining some other employer. So if the other employer asks you how much you've been paid by the previous employer, so you need to explain it to them that this is sort of a like my first experience, and previously I was under the training contract. It was not my salary. So once you understand that, you will be able to explain it to your employer as well. And the building your own brand, work on yourself, and you need to have that understanding between stipend and salary. And the third most important thing Harun suggested, you need to have your work on your networking skills as well. So keep in touch with the other members, keep interacting, and keep the bar high, and do not settle unless you get to that point. You deserve. Thank you.
Right. Thank you for. I think you've answered the third burning question directly. The third burning question was that if you are on a stipend and you become a member, how do you progress to a salary? So, if for that you have to switch your job, should you take the plunge, or should you continue to hammer your existing employer to start giving you a salary rather than a stipend? Right. So, I think there's no fixed answer to this, but the need is that you need to make sure that your employer understands this point, that as you become a member, you've met the requirements, you're a part of the membership of a global accounting body, and therefore you need to progress to a salary rather than a stipend. Okay, so that's how important it is. And if at that point you need to make a switch, don't be afraid of doing that. Right? Yeah. Don't quit before you. Don't quit before you arrange another opportunity, right? But don't be afraid to make a switch. Okay. Otherwise, you will always be under working under an umbrella of one employer who may still be paying you at lower than the market rate. So, Neil, anything you want to add to that before we call it off?
Just a closing remarks, guys. We have to make our own destiny, right? And you have to represent ACCA brand. ACCA brand represent a very bold character. That's where we started 1904, challenging the status quo and then surviving and evolving from there and becoming a global professional accountancy body. That's who you are. Those were the members who started, 8 members who started that journey. And today we are talking about over 700,000 people who are really following that footstep. We have got presence over 180 countries. Understand yourself, understand your character, and represent your brand. Be bold and make sure you decide and then work towards that and leverage ACCA as an organization, as a membership, leverage your network to make that progress accelerated or accelerated progress. So leverage those things. There are certain areas you can control, certain area you can influence, and certain areas you can leverage. So ACCA network and ACCA as a professional accounting body is the best thing you can influence with your voice using MNP or Council. But at the same time, you can leverage their presence in the country and accelerate your growth. Yeah, you have got some.
For example, Pakistan, ACCA are not given the audit, external audit tax are not given to ACCA. Why aren't
Okay, let me put it. Do you know how many statutory rights we have right now? Anybody has a clue?
Anybody from here? How many
Except for external audit, except for internal, right?
right?
We have specifically, if you see the last 2 years, ACCA or the foreign accounting body have specifically included, very recently as a board member, independent board member. That's a qualification. CEO of a CEO, CFO, and company secretary of a public sector entity. That's also already there. CFO and the internal audit head for the listed company. We have got the right to become intermediaries for SECP. That's mean everything other than the external audit, right? We are a tax practitioner. We have a tax practitioner right. We have intermediaries for sales tax and provincial taxes as well, and the income taxes. We've been approached once or twice why we are not part of that SME audit. I think we are not ready. We are not ready yet. We do not have a very stringent monitoring system right now on ground. We are working towards that. We are engaged with AOB. But for us as a ACC, I'm not sure if you are aware of, it's almost 150 notices are issued by SECP every year to different audit firms to explain the situation. ACC can't. ACC, one notice, and we have got 200,000 members across the globe. We have to be the best in terms of the monitoring, and then we can move on. Very recently, we got ACCA practicing firm, and SECP has incorporated that last year as one of a qualification, ACCA practicing firm. So there is a certain recognition on a legislation side. In the external audit and the liability, number one, it's a loss leader. Here's the guy. It's a loss leader. So it does not add on a revenue side, but it's a great liability for any accounting body. We will get there. We will start with SME, then we will move to that. But first, we have to get our monitoring system right. We are engaged with SECP. We are engaged with AOB to really work on those areas.
Even schools are now focusing on non-assurance services more because
revenue and the liability. It's a loss leader, and the liability is huge, and we can't afford as a global body to have a one notice issue to anybody. So frankly speaking, if you ask me, तो शायद इस वक्त आपके और एक्सटर्नल ऑडिट राइट में सबसे बड़ी जो हिंड्रेंस है वो मैं हूँ. हम उस चीज को परसू ही नहीं करना चाह रहे इस वक्त. And Harun may not appreciate that, but I don't want to go right now until we get the fundamental right. आप मिडिल ईस्ट में चले जाएं, आप यूरोप में चले जाएं, most of the countries might find. पाकिस्तान में ना, it's a very competitive environment, and our legislator is a very good legislator, and they are very knowledgeable as well. So we don't want to really get into that area जो शायद आपके लिए revenue भी नहीं earn कर सकेगा. You will not get the business, but liability पूरी global side पे generate हो जाएगी. And then ज़ाहिर है अभी legislation में काफी significant change करवानी पड़ेगी इसके लिए. Which legislator might be willing to do that because they want to expand in terms of the foot on step and more corporatization, more documentation of economy. That's why you are getting the intermediaries on SECP and the taxation and all that, because they want that. Audit, external audit, very, very big right now.
I think
that's now, it's even the SME side पे उन्होंने qualification जो है वो restrict कर दिया ICAP and ICMA, and at that time we had an option to even get the ACCA there. It's a big level.
From Arsalan Ahmed, there is one suggestion, and he says that we should hold these sessions more frequently and on a regular basis. I think we have gotten that message out and clear. So, but I think in terms of participation, there were about 700 individuals who had registered for this session. We saw about 150. We saw about 15 sitting here. We saw about Sajid. How many did we have in Karachi?
We have got right now 7.
7. So I think it's still a small number. We feel that unless there is this desire to listen to this important content, right, people will not probably be directed in the right direction. So we will continue to be in your faces, continue to talk about this subject very, very openly, very boldly, right? We will take questions from you, Chapter, we will also push our content to the members, right? Arsalan, your questions and questions by other members. I know we haven't answered all the questions that were asked, but all the questions that have been asked, they are on our record. They are all saved in a log. So we will answer all the questions one by one and send a copy of these answers to all the attendees so that you get to read your question, read the question of other members also. Okay? So we will do this exercise hopefully during the week. One final announcement: 10th of May in Lahore at Pearl Continental at about 3 o'clock or 2:30 rather, we are holding our talk on budget, right? And how is this budget going to affect the growth of our economy? Okay, so interesting conversation. We will send an invite to all members in Lahore. Members in other cities will be able to join through webinar. But after that, we are coming to Karachi, and we're also going to go to Islamabad with these sessions. We are not going to just discuss the budget, but we're going to look at the potential impact or the challenges of this budget on the growth of our economy or our economic reforms. Okay,
Harun,
so,
just a last message.
Sure.
You have to let people know about the election. They have spent money on that, so just make sure they participate in MNP election. If you haven't received the email, do contact ACCA. That is your chance to really participate in raising your voice. But most importantly, we have created that electronic platform, which is very, very costly for us given our size and the budgets. Make use of it.
So please do vote. However, affiliates cannot vote. Number 2, only resident ACCA members with country of residence Pakistan can vote. Number 3, only active members can vote. So if you were inactive or suspended on 23rd of April, right, you will not be able to. Only those members who were active on 23rd of April have been sent an email by Electoral Reform Services with the list of all the candidates, their election statements, and the power to vote. So there are about 4,000 members in Pakistan who would have received this email. Right? We would suggest please do take this opportunity. And I know for a fact that till Friday there were about 600 members who have already voted. Okay, this is information for the candidates sitting in Lahore and sitting in Karachi. 600 members have so far voted, which is about 12% or 13% of the total number we have. Okay, 15%, right?
You are talking to accountants; they can calculate percentage more quickly than yourself.
Okay, all right. Okay, so but we do expect more members to take part in this activity, and then once the MNP members have been selected and elected. Okay, so remember selection and election: 5 to be elected and 5 to be picked up by ACCA based on the sectors they are working in, based on their geographical location. So I know I'm going to bring in a member from Quetta because that's a far-flung area. There are members working there. We want a representation from them on the panel. So, you know, once these people are in place, you know they are your network or your communication channel to ACCA. Stay in touch with them. There are WhatsApp groups. Okay, pass on your messages through me to them or through them to us. Okay, so I think that's all for today. I think this was a very useful session. I hope you would have liked it as well. We will anxiously wait for your feedback. Okay, and inshallah in a month's time. So do we have a commitment to do this on a monthly basis till the time everyone has memorized the contents of this webinar or your presentation?
Yeah, but next time I need a chair, Harun. I can't stand for 2.5 hours. Come on. I might be fit, but not so fit.
I have been standing with you all the time. I mean, nobody can, you know, so but I think the kind of energy we have in ACCA, standing for so long, it doesn't matter at all. Yeah. Thank you all very much. And Sajid, have a safe flight back, and all of you have a safe drive back to your homes. Thank you all very much. The people online, thank you very much for your participation as well. And we will hopefully see you once again in the next month. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.